Women doctors, we hear you. We know your struggles. We know what it's like to be a female doctor in this dominant world. And guess what? Dr. Summer Casmel and myself teamed up together and created Women Dentists Connect. We wanted to create a safe, educational, and inspirational place to come and ask those crazy questions that you don't want to ask. We know that being a female doctor is different than it is for male doctors. You just have different issues, different questions, different concerns. So Dr. Summer Casmel and I are actually hosting a live event in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona on October 11th and 12th. This is for women doctors and their teams. We're talking business. We're talking issues that female doctors face. We're talking team breakouts, how to really rally your team. And we're giving you hundreds of tangibles that you can take home and implement Monday morning. We're also having an amazing lineup of speakers where you'll actually get CE for attending. So come on in. We can't wait to see you. We only have a handful of people that we're allowing in. So run on over to womendentistconnect.com. Use the coupon code podcast to get the Dental 18 family coupon. Guys, I cannot wait. I would love to see you there. I'd love to connect with you, learn from you, and share. So hop on over Women Dentist Connect. I can't wait to see you in October. Welcome to the Dental 18 podcast. We're your hosts, Kiera Dent
and Dr. Mark Costas.
Mark and I had this crazy idea that maybe we could combine a dentist and a team member's perspective because let's face it, dentistry can be a challenging profession with those two perspectives. And Dental 18 podcast was created.
I'm a practicing dentist, a multiple practice owner, a dental performance coach, and the founder of the Dental Success Institute.
I've been a dental assistant, treatment coordinator, scheduler, biller, office manager, current practice owner, and international dental consultant. Mark and I don't just understand you, we are you.
Our goal is to positively impact the world of dentistry by sharing our lessons learned from the road in hundreds of dental offices.
Two perspectives, one mission, to help dental professionals reach their full potential. Welcome to the Dental 18 podcast. Hello, Dental 18 listeners. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Kiera Dent, and today, you got it. Ashley Dorn, the traveling consultant with the KDC team, is back, and I can't wait. Her and I just spent a day consulting an office in LA. It was so much fun. It was fun to watch Ashley in action. She proved me wrong. The EagleSoft route slips can actually be edited and add in NDTR. So that was a pretty substantial win. So Ashley, how are you today?
I'm super great. How are you?
This is so good. I did not get pulled over in Colfax. I just passed through because, 2 days ago when I was driving through there at midnight, listening to my Audible, obviously, on my way to an office, like a cruise ship in the night, I got pulled over and texted you about it. So today's a way better day already.
Today you're winning.
I am winning. Don't speed in Colfax, Washington, guys. There's a tip that no one gave me. So there you go. But okay, Ashley, you've got some serious topics that we're going to just dive into. You're new to the KDC team. By the way, let's just share with people, how was your first in-office experience in an office?
Oh, it was amazing. So you're out in Los Angeles, California, and of course the weather is always beautiful there. But the office was super cool. Super fun team to hang out with. The doctor's amazing. The office manager's great too. It was a really, really great introduction.
It was so much fun. He was one of the nicest doctors. He sent me an email the night before and said, "Hey, Kiera, when do you land? When are you and Ashley going to be there? I'm going to take you guys to breakfast because I know you live on Southwest peanuts and pretzels and you actually need real good food in your life." So he planned the whole day around making sure we were well fed, and it was pretty awesome. So
yeah, the food was amazing.
We definitely were spoiled on that. I told Ashley, this is not totally common, but it was awesome. So I'm glad you had fun. It was really fun. And literally, guys, if you want the tip on how to edit EagleSoft route slips, Ashley's your girl. She knows EagleSoft pretty darn well. So that was a good moment for me to even learn that I had no idea. So nice job. Nice work on that.
Yeah, thank you. It was fun.
Good. Okay, so today we're going to dive in and we're going to talk about treatment planning with dental assistants because this is a big topic that Ashley, you and I both were dental assistants. That I think is one of the reasons we do well in consulting. But let's kind of dive into your angle on, because the reality is dental assistants and treatment planning, I know I used to always want to treatment plan as a dental assistant because I thought, hey, I could schedule, or I know how to schedule this, or if you just show me a little bit about insurance, like maybe I could help out the front office and make a better VIP patient experience. So let's dive into this today. Ashley, kind of give me your thoughts and let's give some good nuggets to our listeners today.
Yeah, absolutely. So treatment planning with definitely ensuring we get that case acceptance is such a big part of the role dental assistants and hygienists play too. Really any clinical team staff in the back. And so many times I feel like the doctor comes in, they're recommending treatment, whether it's an exam, with the assistant, a new patient exam, or an exam with the hygienist. And then the whole time we're sitting there watching that doctor-patient interaction, and we can see it's just like deer in the headlights. And it's really, I feel like, our responsibility then as clinicians and on this team to follow up and really kind of reinforce whatever that treatment plan is that doctor recommends, and make sure we do get that case acceptance. So I feel like it's such an important part of just the day-to-day in and out of a dental office.
Totally. So going into that a little bit deeper, I think it's important for offices. I know we talked about role playing in the past, but the reality is the way, Ashley, you explain a crown versus how I explain a crown, maybe it's the same way, maybe it's different. But in a dental office, I feel the more consistently you can talk about different procedures. So literally listen to the words the doctor is using or the hygienist, whomever it is. And if we can pair it and mirror the exact same verbiage, it helps eliminate that confusion. Or asking, instead of saying, do you have questions, asking what questions do you have? Having that open-ended as opposed to a closed-off question, really in the back office, we can explain those things. And also, just like I tell people now, Ashley, I love that you and I aren't dentists, because we can say to people like, hey, I'm just Kiera Dent from the block. Like, I am not scary. Just ask me any question that you want, because I'm not a dentist. You're not going to look dumb in front of me. And that's, I think, something as a dental assistant or as a hygienist, you really can build that trust and confidence to then answer those questions and then be able to help that case acceptance as well. But doing so in a way that pairs and mirrors the doctor so we don't create more confusion. I see all the time in offices where the doctor will say one thing and then the clinical team says something totally different. And I think that also can help decrease your case acceptance. So you're helping to not get good case acceptance because you guys aren't calibrated. And I think just doing role playing can help with that calibration of speaking the same language.
Yeah, absolutely. Role playing is huge when it comes to the overall success of treatment planning and getting that case acceptance like you talked about. And another thing too is I feel like dental assistants and hygienists, we spend so much, or we have the ability to spend so much extra time with those patients, really getting to know them, whether that's their financial situation better or even just life in general. If they have trips coming up or special events, special occasions where they're going to want to accept whatever treatment plan we may have to offer them. So having a better conversation with them and really breaking down those doctors' recommendations into verbiage that they understand, like you touched on, that's huge. So I kind of have broken it down into 5 different points that I feel are going to be super important to get that case acceptance in the back. So if you're ready, I'm just going to dive in.
Let's do it. Because okay. I love steps. This is my love language. Like bullet point me. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. So yeah, let's give the 5. I like it.
Okay, so my number 1 tip that I feel like is it has to do with body language, and it has to do with getting on the patient's level. I feel like so many times in the dental chair, right, patients are leaned back, and a lot of times that's when treatment is talked about. But we see treatment being presented while the patient is laying down or while we're standing up, and I think one of the biggest things clinicians can do is get on the same level with that patient. So sit down, sit in the chair, get on the same eye level with them and have a conversation with them. I used to work with a couple of dentists who were really tall ladies. Lower her chair just so that she was on the same level, if not lower eye level than the patient. But sitting them up, getting on the same level, that body language, I feel like it goes such a long way.
Well, it's huge. It's huge because otherwise it's like a parent-child relationship, or it's a domineering relationship. And I was actually just coaching 2 brand new doctors in the office I just left today because they would walk in and they were domineering over these patients, and we're already vulnerable in the treatment chair. And so coming down to that eye level, like even just feel the body language right now of if I was sitting in a chair and Ashley's hovering over me, that feels very intimidating. As opposed to just sitting eye level as a casual conversation, it's much more comfortable. And I love that you brought up that is a huge way to make your patients feel comfortable and help with that case acceptance.
Yeah, definitely. I like to do it even with recommending same day treatment. If we are adding something in the middle of an appointment and we have the opportunity to sit that patient up to really discuss it, I think that case acceptance goes a long way, even with same day treatment.
For sure. And don't be behind their head. I was watching these doctors. So even though they're at eye level per se, you're kind of sitting behind them. Actually come in front of them so you're on an angle so they can look you right in the eyes. I mean, just imagine if somebody's trying to chat with you behind your head and you're having to turn around behind them. It's not a comfortable conversation. It's very uncomfortable. And when people are uncomfortable, they want to get out of there as quickly as possible. So you're not setting yourself up for success. So being even in front of them so they can look you in the eyes in a comfortable position is super important.
Yeah, definitely. So moving on to number 2, I always feel it's really important to use words and describe things. You touched on this earlier, but in a way that patients can understand it. I mean, all of us in dentistry know that if we have a large fractured MOD amalgam with cuspal coverage over that distal buccal cusp, that tooth number 19 needs a crown. But if
Totally.
we explain,
that was a solid dental terminology there, Ashley. Way to just whip that out. Nice.
Many years. But if we've literally just said that to a patient, they've understood nothing. We've just spoke to them in a foreign language, and all they maybe heard was crown, and half the time they're thinking that means a tiara. So
exactly. Or an MOD, like mod. Okay, what's a mod? Like I know there's mod pizza. What is MOD? So perfect. Right. Yes, I love that.
So I feel like it's so important for us to follow up and really break down that verbiage and use words that they're going to understand. So a large old metal filling, you only have 30% of the natural tooth. It's less than half of the tooth, and it's a really high risk of breaking and losing whatever 30% is remaining. So just recommending, something then instead of saying crown, kind of describe it, something that is going to cover the entire tooth, focus on distributing that biting force evenly. So I think just, using the verbiage that they're going to understand. I've worked with new grads too that come fresh out of school, and they love rattling off that book language.
That just happened yesterday. And I was like, whoa. That person had no clue. Like, you lost her. She has no idea what you're talking about.
Right. Yeah. New grads are notorious for doing that, which is great because they've learned so much and they've made all that time and investment in it. And I think it's really wonderful. But most of it, the patients just don't understand. So I feel like that's where, like I said, the clinicians, the team in the back, dental assistants, the hygienists can really follow up with the patient and level with them so that they are ultimately understanding their treatment.
Yes, because if you understand something, you're much more likely to say yes to it as opposed to being left in the dark. Like, what is an MOD? I'm going to go do my research. What are you even talking about? That's when people start to get skeptical. They start to ask questions, which is great. We want them to ask questions, but why make our lives harder when we can literally just speak in layman's terms as opposed to being hoity-toity when they really don't understand it? It's totally fine. I'm not saying if you speak in dental terms or hoity-toity, but to a naive person that has no idea, a lot of times they even feel embarrassed that they don't want to ask because they feel uneducated. And when people don't feel smart, once again, we've created an uncomfortable situation, less likely to say yes to case acceptance. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Definitely. So we've got, first step one, we're just going to recap real quick. Step one is our body language, being on eye level with them. And then step two is making sure that we are speaking simple terms that are easy to understand. And Ashley, you gave some fantastic examples on that. So, okay, step 3, what are we at?
Step 3, I really like a show and explain of x-rays and the diagnosis. You can even show them their own patient chart, but patients love looking at x-rays. I remember when I was a little kid and I was very accident prone, and I would go into the doctor and they'd take all these x-rays, and then getting to really see them was the most fun part. And I feel like that's how patients still are today in the dental chair. But showing them the x-rays, explaining what you're seeing, what's going on. I love the offices that have the monitors right in front of the patient so we can do a show and discuss, not show and tell where we're just talking at them the whole time, but rather a show and discuss where the patient asks questions. And like you mentioned before, what questions do you have goes so much further versus the yes and no of do you have any questions?
Absolutely. And for any of you doctors sitting out there wondering, hey, I can't really afford those monitors. Guess what? You can go buy a big screen TV for less than $100. That is going to sell you. I promise you, even if you have 10 operatories, that's $1,000. $20, I promise you, with just one of those in there, it will pay for itself that day. It will be night and day difference. Just get those hung, get those TVs, get those monitors in there, because when a patient can see it, you're no longer like the mechanic where they say, hey, you need all this stuff. And you're like, I don't even do I trust you? I got to go get a second opinion. You have just created a way for that patient to trust you that you didn't even have to win them over. You've already won them over because they can physically see it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love those monitors in the front. It is a game changer for sure.
And do the intraoral pictures. So I heard of a doctor one time say the x-rays, he would go in and he's like, okay, these are the pictures for me. And then I'll show you the pictures that are for you as a patient. So he would scroll through the x-rays really quickly, but he'd also show them, hey, do you see, this is a good tooth. Can you see like it's a perfect tooth, and explain why it's a good tooth? And then he'd show a bad tooth and say, this is why. Can you see where the cracks are? Can you see this darker shadow? And then we'll go to the next ray. Is this a good tooth or is this a bad tooth? So the patient's co-diagnosing with you as well. Same thing when you're doing hygiene. You can call out those perio-charting numbers. So 323, 344, 444, 445. When a patient can co-diagnose with you and you teach them and educate them, they're much more likely to say yes, because you're no longer trying to convince them. They see it themselves as like, whoa, yes, obviously I need to take this. And I love that you said it's a show and discuss as opposed to a show and tell, but educating them so they know what they're looking for so they can read it along with you. That's educating them, empowering them, and they're making the decision for themselves as opposed to you trying to sell it to them or convince them. They're already convinced because they're telling them themselves.
Yeah. Typodonts are really great too. I found, and every doctor has one of those coming out of school. So those are an amazing tool also to use with a show and discuss type of situation. My
favorite one's on Amazon. I think it's $20 and it will show you a bridge, an implant. It has it's clear, so it's not the same ones you guys get in school. It will show an implant. It shows a root canal. It shows an abscess. They're fantastic. It's a $20 Typodont on Amazon. I would strongly advise getting that. That's what I used to do for my $80,000 implant cases consistently, because you can show them. They can touch it. They can feel it. They can see it. It's a really good way to help increase that case acceptance.
Yeah, for sure. Totally agree.
Awesome. Okay, point number 4. I love this. I love this so much.
It's great. So point number 4, kind of touching on, again, what you had mentioned earlier, just with piggybacking whatever the doctor has said and duplicating that same verbiage as the doctor, I feel like is really important because you're reinforcing that diagnosis. So, for example, you could say, like, Sally, Dr. J said this tooth will remain a high risk for fracture if left untreated. And that's probably exactly what the doctor said. But then you follow that up with, I know you and I love snacking on those wasabi almonds, and I'd love, for you to keep this tooth in your mouth as long as you can. I'd hate for it to break for you on a Friday before the weekend. So using that same verbiage, I feel like is so important because, again, they're listening to the doctor, but they may not be understanding everything they're saying. So then just reinforcing that and following up, but breaking it down into like something that they will understand, something that they associate with their lifestyle, their habits, and what they do on an everyday basis.
Ooh, that's a good one, Ashley, because I love that you tied it to, you and I both love to do this. You've connected. You feel like you're my friend and you actually understand. And this is why we don't want to wait. You don't want that to get broken on a Friday. Things that people don't think of that we in the dental profession see consistently really helps. I love that you just made it very personal to that person as to why they should get it done. Yeah, absolutely. It goes such a long way. Brilliant. So, and you guys honestly role play that out because we hear all the time, yes, I say it exactly how my doctor does. We all talk the same way. Guess what? We all have our own shades and versions of how we speak it. So if you guys can just role play it out and hear what you actually are saying, I think that can go a long ways too. So that's a really fun, easy morning huddle practice that you can do. You can do it for a weekly meeting, but role playing this out until you all get synchronized on how to speak the same languages, I think really will help everybody be more consistent. Yeah, absolutely. And talking about role playing, that really ties in perfectly into point number 5, which is the perfect handoff. Dun, 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 dun. So, you guys know we love handoffs. We do. We can't stress it enough. No, we're going to talk about it again because even in offices, we've implemented this. I just was in an office in New Jersey, and I'm not kidding, NDTR. And if none of you know what that is, like, go back and listen to those. We'll definitely tell you what it is on this one as well. But NDTR has been coming up for 6 months. And finally I was like, that's it. We're solving this forever. So we played a little game and people got scored of if they were 100% NDTR for the day or 30%. And we literally got like little faces of the team members on a whiteboard, and they would get scored every single day of how well they did. And it's crazy. Day 1, not super good. Day 2, 100%. And they've been 100% for the last several weeks. So handoffs really are magical. So Ashley, tell us your thoughts on handoffs.
Yeah. So NDTR. And then what I'd like to add to that too is edification. I know that's another thing that goes a huge long way, handing off that patient to your treatment coordinator, the one that will go over the financials with them, and saying, I really feel that, Tina in our office has the best way of crunching these numbers and trying to get the most accurate estimate for you as possible. She's super great and knowledgeable with all of our insurances. Like, she's going to be great to get you set up.
I love that. That edification piece makes you, like, when you said that, I thought, I want to work with Tina, Ashley. Like, yes, sign me up. Let me work with her.
Yeah, definitely. It's huge. It's huge, really. Another thing I really like to do is add some sort of personal sentiment to the patient right at the end. So kind of wrapping up the actual handoff and saying, it was so great to see you today. I can't wait to see you next time to see more pictures of your puppy, or have so much fun on your upcoming trip. Like, I can't wait to hear about it next time I see you. So kind of just touching base on whatever personal, sentiment you shared with them while they were back in your chair. And then also making notes on that too. Like, in this office I worked at, we like specifically colored notes. So specifically like green notes that be our clue to whatever the personal, thing we wanted to know with the patient, or whatever personal topic we talked with them about while they were back for their appointment.
And Ashley, I'm not going to edit this out because I'm just going to have you repeat it. It went a little fuzzy. Okay. You said you guys used to use green notes. Can you explain a little bit more of how you did that?
Yeah, absolutely. So green notes for us, our treatment, so all of our notes were color coordinated, which I feel like was super helpful with filtering through notes and reading through a patient's history.
Because you were on EagleSoft, so you could have different colors. Is that what you're talking about? Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. I was like, if you're talking paper, that was like 20 years ago. Let's...
Oh gosh, no. We promote paperless offices.
Just making sure no one else was confused like I was. I was like, okay, so they have like green, yellow, pink, and purple notes in their charts. Like, let's come up with a system. This is great.
No, not quite. So within the electronic record, we were able to change the color of our notes. So like hygienists, for example, were purple. Treatment notes with the doctor were red. And then green notes, specifically our green colored notes for us, were notes about something personal about the patient that we talked with them about that day. So like I mentioned, if they just got a new puppy, the name of the dog, where they're going on vacation, their cousin's name, their brother's name, like literally try to get those little details, because when they come in the next time and you ask them questions about that, you look like a rock star. Like, seriously, it blows patients out of the water. It's amazing.
It really does. And I think an easy way, when you were talking about this, it made me think of, you really are being friends with these people. And it doesn't take a lot of time. So don't think you're having to chat with them for an hour to get this. But I mean, when you're leaving your friend, you're like, hey, I'll see you next time. I can't wait to hear about your trip to Cabo, or I can't wait to hear about your flight. I mean, Ashley, you and I chatted as soon as we left LA of, hey, let me know when you get home. I'd love to hear about how your trip went. I want to hear what you thought. That's just being a good friend. And I love that you wrapped that into the handoff of the edification and the personal tie-in of a way to do it. So that way, and then it's not if, you need to remember. So finding a way, I know Dentrix does not do color coded. So we used to put ours in the patient note on the family file. That's where we'd put personal notes, and we put a date on there. Open Dental, you could put notes in their next appointment. You could actually, so if you're scheduling in the back office, you could make a quick little note in their appointment card so you don't forget. There's lots of different ways to put that, but great idea on that. So you do follow up with them and you remember. That really does, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, it's a huge difference.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, let's just redo this handoff. NDTR, the N stands for next visit. D stands for date range. When do you want to see them back? 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Then you're going to do the T, how much time is needed. So an hour, hour and a half, and then recare scheduled, yes or no. We're constantly looking for that. That is literally a perfect handoff. You edify, hey, here's Tina. She's going to be great. Tina, we're going to get Kiera back for that crown. Doctor talked about the cracking. We want to make sure she can eat those wasabis. So she's going to get scheduled. Doctor wants to see her in the next week. And we want an hour and a half for that. And then you finish up with your personal note of can't wait to see those puppies in a week. It's going to be fun to chat with you. Is that in a nutshell, or did I miss any pieces of your handoff, Ashley?
You nailed it. That was perfect.
Sweet. Good thing. Otherwise, what am I doing out now? But I'm not the best, you guys. I don't always teach edification, and I had never thought of tying it up with that personal note. I loved talking about the puppies, because it becomes personal and it becomes fun, and it's a really easy way to segue out of there. And that handoff literally took 10 seconds, and all the information was relayed. We reemphasized what the doctor talked about. We spoke in those terms. We were very specific of when they need to come back. And honestly, dental assistants, treatment hygienists, if you want to really razzle dazzle and take it yourselves to the next level, I would say 100% schedule in the back office. That is magical. That is so magical if you guys can schedule in the back, because we put the emphasis on treatment. We're not putting the emphasis on dollars. And when they're already scheduled, Ashley, think about being in the front office. I think about this, if my life would have been this way, that they literally scheduled in the back office for me and all I had to do was talk money. That is so dreamy. That's so easy to do. So if you guys want to razzle dazzle, it's very easy. And honestly, as dental assistants, I wanted to schedule because I knew what the best way to maximize my time and the doctor's time. Ashley and I did a podcast the other day about dental assistants and how to maximize your assistant, especially if you have expanded function assistants. And I personally love if assistants or hygienists want to schedule in the back. I think it just overall helps with this whole perfect handoff, also the edification pieces, and it makes the treatment case acceptance much higher. Yeah, definitely. Could not agree more. Okay, so recap us. What are the 5 steps again? So everybody who's listening can easily implement these today. The 5 steps for the back office clinical team, really helping with that case acceptance. Yeah. So number 1, I say get on their level. Get on that patient's same level. Eye contact or lower. Don't talk behind them. Don't stand over them. Really get on that same level with that body language. Number 2, use verbiage that they understand. And break it down for them so that they can really get a clear grasp of what's going on with their treatment, and try to stay away from that super smart dental terminology we all love to use so much. I love it. Number 3. Education out the window, guys. Don't even worry about it anymore. That's right. Number 3, show and discuss x-rays, and use a typodont, use those intraoral photos, but get those monitors in front of the patient and really do a show and discuss. Instead of just talking to the patient, give them time to ask questions. Probe them for questions too. What questions do you have, instead of do you have any questions? Verbiage is so, so important. Number 4, reinforce the doctor's diagnosis and piggyback off of what the doctor says. So say their same verbiage, kind of try to mimic that, but then also, again, breaking it down into a level that the patient will understand and that they'll relate to every day with their lifestyle and their habits. And then number 5, we can't say it enough, a perfect handoff. The handoff. Yes. NDTR, edification, and then throw a little personal sentiment into that handoff at the end, and you're going to look like a rock star. Don't forget to document it. Awesome. Awesome job, Ashley. That was a solid one, guys. So take this in. I know you guys listen to this a lot on the car. I appreciate that a ton. But make sure today when you get to the office or wherever you're listening to this, maybe tomorrow, try one of these things. I always say we can listen all day long, but true decisions and true action is made when you actually will implement and try something different. So Ashley, nice work on that. I picked up some great nuggets. Hope you guys all did too. So as always, Ashley, thank you. Thank you for joining me. Thanks for being on our KDC team. Love having you. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I love this. Of course. All right, Dental A Team listeners, thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you next time on the Dental A Team podcast. And that wraps it up for another episode of the Dental A Team podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.